Hello guys, this is Walt from Walt&mel back to the Philippines. We're working our way back, as our video, the name tells, Walt&mel back to the Philippines. I went ahead and sent for a visa because we all know we need a visa now to get in the Philippines. And I worked on this one right here. Make sure we get that in there. And what it actually says, if you can't read it, it says foreign spouse of a Philippine national. Close as you can get. It does go into the lockdowns and things like that, so it's pretty recent. Now, let me read you some of the requirements for. Must be submitted by mail, not courier, but they don't want to use FedEx. Regulation must be marriage defined by Philippine law. See Family Code Article 1. Didn't do that when we were doing the application, but completely filled up application form. Okay, it goes into, for some reason, People's Republic of China, they need that. But this is what you would fill out anyway for an American. Original and photocopy of passport with a valid, with validity that must extend at least 6 months beyond the length of proposed stay in the Philippines. 1 2x2 size photograph taken within the last 6 months. The applicant's signature must be affixed on the front and side of the picture. A photocopy of the applicant's round-trip flight itinerary. Unpaid reservations. I want you to remember that. Unpaid reservations. To his or her country of origin or his or her next country of destination. Proof of financial capacity. This is a new one. We did this for the K1 because if anybody's ever tried to even work on a K1, you know how that is. You've got to come up with a lot of documents. And of course, that's like everything from credit cards to bank statements. They want to see everything, which is we've been through that before, Mel and I, with the K1. So we're used to it. Okay, you need more than one type of proof of financial capacity. So that's okay. We got that. Cashier's check, U.S. postal money order, paid to the order of the Philippine Consulate General. This is Los Angeles, by the way. I want to recommend that if you go on for information, that you go on for information to Los Angeles, because that's where I actually found this foreign spouse of a Philippine national stuff, so that's a good place to go. Original and photocopy of proof of marriage. This is the one that gets kind of tricky. Original and photocopy of proof of marriage, such as you will need to present this again in the Philippines. Original and photocopy of proof of marriage. Philippine Statistics Authority, which is known in the Philippines as PSA. NSO marriage certificate, or marriage certificate issued by the county or state, and the valid Philippine passport or PSA NSO birth certificate or dual citizenship documents of the Filipino spouse. Now, the birth certificate, I think my wife's got that, Mel's got that, but the other maybe not. Letter request by the Filipino spouse addressed to the consulate with a copy of valid identification card issued by the Philippine government. Now, later when we get into what they're asked for when they rejected this, we have submitted the information on that. We will be. Letter request, okay, return envelope, self-address, postage, no problem with that. If Philippines and visa holder wants to extend their stay, I'm reading this because it goes into the costs. It's $30 fee for the visa, and that's supposedly good for 3 months. And then if you go 60, that's good for 6 months. So it's like $10 per month. Actually, that's on the next sheet that we're going to go into pretty quick. Okay, so also this is where if you're going to go with an itinerary that's not booked yet, this is going to be hard. Is they recommend that you already have a quarantine facility and a COVID testing provider. And if you're also a visa holder, pre-booked and accredited, which means that you have to be approved. So you got to have that too. The problem we had is we booked these flights like a long time ago. So that was when I used to be able to go to the Philippines. And by the way, I've been in the Philippines. I spent like a total of almost a year in the Philippines. I spent 1 month 2 years ago, and then the year before that another 6 months, the year before that I think another 2 months. So I'm getting close to 10-12 months in the Philippines, so I know the Philippines and how it works, and I'm not an expert at it, that's for sure. I don't think anybody is. Even the people that live in the Philippines are not an expert of how their government works. We can make 100 videos right now about property and all that kind of stuff, but we're going to stick with what we're talking about now because I think people are interested in following the fact of how it's going with us of getting back, because with this COVID going on, it is getting difficult. But I've traveled quite a bit, and I think that there's always a way around if you can just follow the rules, give them what they want. Okay, what we did is we packed all this information up and we sent it to the consulate in DC, and they sent us back this little form, which you can see it's got checklists and question marks on it. Not too many question marks, which is pretty good. But here's what they're asking for: a copy of marriage certificate from Philippine Statistics Authority, PSA, issued for Philippine documents. So they want it from the PSA. And this is something that, here's where we want to throw a little line in here. We traveled to DC. We bought some property in the Philippines. Not property, but a condo in the Philippines. And we had to go there to get the, I forgot what kind of flags they call them that you put on there to get that done. But while we were there, Mel went and had her, I thought, had her marriage certificate authenticated, but she didn't. She filled out the paperwork to get it authenticated, then she has to send it off to the PSA to get them to give her an authenticated marriage certificate. So we'll get back to that in a second. Okay, let's see. Question mark: a copy of a valid Filipino passport or other spouse and government issued ID, which we sent them, copy of Filipino spouse passport, which we're sending them that. And the last one, this is kind of funny. Proof that your spouse actually is in the Philippines. Example, photo of your spouse holding the latest issue of local newspaper. Issue date of the newspaper must be, of course, you must be able to see it. That's obvious. Mel is with me. We're in America right now. We're trying to get back to the Philippines. It's been 2 years since we've been there. She has 3 kids there with 4 grandkids, and you know, they're like our family. So we have to get back there. Plus, we did purchase this condo, so we have to furnish that, put some cabinets up, and do all that kind of stuff. But staying with this, because this is what you guys should be interested in, is how you do this. And if you follow us, I'm going to keep you informed. Okay, here's down at the bottom of this paper that he sent me. If you're not probably getting a good view of this, but this is what I got back from Washington, and it just supposedly is asking for what it needs, for what they need. But down at the bottom it says visa fees. According to the fee schedule below, non-refundable, of course, payable in cash or money order, made payable to the Embassy of the Philippines. Personal checks and credit cards are not accepted. Single entry valid for 3 months. That's the $30 one. Or multiple entry valid for 6 months. $60. Now we're going for 6 months, so of course we're gonna go with the 6-month one and try for that. Multi-entry valid for 12 months. That's $90, which if I can do that the next time I go, this time I'm going for 6 months, but I would get the multi for $90, because that would be like saving you a lot of time. If you've been following the Philippines and you see how many expats are down there and how many times they have to go every 2 months and get their visa renewed, and they pay sometimes ridiculous prices, depending on where you are. If you took a bad taxi and it cost you 1,500 pesos because they overcharged you, whatever, it could cost you a lot more than just paying this $90, which is equal to what, a little over 4,000 pesos. So you're better off doing that if you can get that, and that's almost like a ballot buy-in visa, which is another thing that we can go into later. But hopefully some of this information has helped you guys. Like I said, if here where I'm at right now is Mel has went ahead and did the paperwork for the PSA to get that valid document over there, the one they want. But I'm also looking at the one that says that if if they have their passport and they have all this other kind of stuff, they may let us in. So do I want to go to Washington and sit down and say, hey, look guys, we're legal and we should be able to get over there? Maybe. I don't know. That just extends the expenses. Remember, you're going to have 6 days of lockdown. They say 3, but you're going to have like 6 in Manila. 6 to 7 before you get out of there. Then you're going to get back onto a plane and because you probably had a good chance of getting infected on the plane, in the airport, or whatever, you're going to be locked down to where you're going. We're going to CDO. We're going to be locked down at CDO for another 14 days. We've got a house there. That's another thing. We've sent them the paperwork on our condo. We didn't really go into the house because that's a whole other story. We won't get into that. But we can go to that house directly and be locked down there. In America here, that's what they do. They lock you down in that house where you live for 14 days, and that's it. In the Philippines, they're making you go through lockdown in an accredited hotel, even though you're going where you're going to end up. Okay, guys, sorry, but I ran out of memory, so we're doing this again. But I think I pretty much gave you all the information you need. Just going to do a little follow-up to make sure that everybody understands and can follow this. But like I said, the paper that I got back from them when the visa was denied, it just says, "Dear visa applicant, your visa application documents are hereby returned. We cannot process your visa application due to some missing documents." Okay, in my case, as I told you, my missing documents were the marriage certificate, the valid passport of my spouse, and a copy of Filipino spouse's, that's Filipino spouse's passport, and the other one was the proof of my spouse living in the Philippines, but she doesn't live there. But it does, if you go on to read, it says if you're not there, then and she's traveling with you, of course you don't need that. But like I said, our biggest thing now is time. And if you've ever been to the Philippines, if you know how it is, it's sometimes can be slow. You got to have patience, fall in line. It's just the way it is. I've got to talk to Mel because I don't know why she's trying to get the documents sent here. I may need to see if we can get it sent quicker to Mindanao, to kids in Mindanao, and get them to just make us a copy and send it, and then let them send it to FedEx or whatever. And because I don't think we're going to get it in a short time. We leave November 1st. So today is September 21st, something like that. So we've got all of October, but that's not going to be enough time for the turnaround from the Philippines. So to wrap it up, this is Walt from Mel and Walt. Actually, Walt and Mel, back to the Philippines. If you guys follow us, I've got some other videos coming up. So subscribe, ring the bell. Everything from what tools I packed up from the shop I'm speaking from. It's kind of empty now. And also what else we did that I know from being in the Philippines that you're going to need when you get there. So we put out like 10 ballot buy-in boxes, and we're going to go into that in another video. But again, it doesn't cost anything. Just like, share, and subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next video. Ring the bell. Bye-bye.